Behind me is the Hummer EV, and it is just an insane beast. We've run it through the range test, we've done charging tests, we've seen how much it costs to charge, and we've taken it off-roading, we've done build quality analysis. But one thing I wanted to do was compare it to my Rivian R1T. So if you join me coming around this way, you'll see my little wimpy Rivian hiding behind the big Hummer EV back here. Now I have slammed the Rivian to the lowest suspension height and put the Hummer in full extract mode just to accentuate their differences, but holy smokes, the Hummer EV makes my Rivian feel like a Matchbox toy, and I thought in this video I would share my impressions of both trucks. These are really the lifestyle side of trucks. Of course, you have vehicles like F-150 Lightning, the Evum that we drove over in Germany, maybe vehicles like Lordstown that are coming out that are really fleet work trucks, still very impressive vehicles. But this is more of the fun lifestyle side of trucks. This thing's go out on the trails, go off-roading, put a surfboard on the top, go camping, a real northern Colorado vehicle, I would say. And then the Hummer EV is just badass. It's just plow through everything in front of you and just take no prisoners. This thing's pretty amazing. So yeah, I thought I'd share my impression of both of these trucks after living with them for the last week or two. I want to say a huge thank you to Magna for sponsoring this video. Guys, every week I thought it'd be pretty cool to highlight a specific Magna innovation, and in this case I want to talk about seats. Now, seats may not sound that interesting, but Magna's actually developed a really cool technology called freeform. Now, traditionally seat covers need to be stitched and sewed and hooked and looped in certain places whenever you want to tie down the material or have some sort of concave surface. But with a new innovation called freeform, the material itself can actually be molded to whatever shape you'd like. For example, take a look at this diamond pattern. When have you ever seen a fully embossed diamond pattern with no stitching? It's crazy. It's going to lead to the next generation of interior materials. I've actually even had a chance to try this out. And what's even crazier is the seat structure was the same as the factory OE spec. Freeform allowed the entire seat to feel and mold differently than the original seat. It was really crazy. Take a look at my reaction here. Let's see how this all... Okay, totally different, first of all. But it's the same seat structure.
It's the guts of the seat the production seat.
Whoa, totally different. So a huge thank you to Magna for sponsoring this video. We'll have a full in-depth video with Magna seating specifically on freeform coming to this channel very soon. I'm really looking forward to sharing that with you. Let me start with the known quantity, which is my personal daily driver, the Rivian R1T. Never have I seen it look so small before, and it kind of makes it feel a little wimpy, but I love my truck. It's got a 125 kilowatt hour usable battery pack. It charges at over 200 kilowatts, and it's got 4 motors, 835, I think, horsepower, plus or minus, and like the thing's just badass. But then it gets totally trumped by this, which has 1,000 horsepower, charges at 365 kilowatts, has a 213 kilowatt hour usable battery pack, and it's just like, take everything in the Rivian, put it in a photocopier, and hit ×2, and then you get this. And you really get that impression driving the Hummer of just how much more truck it is. In terms of weight, the Rivian weighs about 7,000 pounds. This weighs about 9,000 pounds. So there isn't that much in between them. 9,000 pounds is a lot for a vehicle to weigh. Everyone likes to talk about the weight. It's a crazy figure, of course, and it drives pretty crazy. I hope you guys would have checked out my full in-depth driving review of this. Just watching it go down the canyons, it's insane. So check that out if you haven't, because for me, I love automotive experiences that you just don't get anywhere else. This is a very unique experience. You cannot buy anything else that, in my opinion, directly competes with this, because it's so soft, it's so heavy, it's got so much power, it has so much regen, 400 kilowatts of regen. Everything is just in excess, and I think it's a lot of fun, and I really enjoy it. But if you come back over here to my Rivian, this to me is really a perfect daily driver. It's obviously much smaller than the Hummer, but actually has almost more usable space in terms of stuff I can put in it. It can tow a lot more than the Hummer. To me, it's just a more practical vehicle. It's not taking up so much space. It's still very capable off-road. We did show though, at least when your trails have room, the Hummer just plows up anything. Take a look at our out-of-spec overlanding channel for that. But yeah, as a daily driver, this has sort of a sporting character to it, if you will. It wafts, it's comfortable in normal mode. You can shred up canyons and you can put it in the off-road modes. The Hummer has one mode, which is just straight through, wide open throttle, and just blowing through whatever's in front of you. And I kind of like that. It works in the canyons. It doesn't want to turn. It just wants to go straight. On the highway, it doesn't want to turn, it just goes along. But you do get the sense that that's like a big giant Tonka toy. And I really do love that, but it is not a practical only vehicle to have as your daily driver. The Rivian certainly is. What I think actually works pretty well is to have both of them in the garage. And what's crazy is the price isn't that big of a difference. This truck, if spec today, is right about mid $90,000 range. That's 110 grand. So it's only $15,000 more. You get twice the battery pack, and just twice everything else. So to me, the Hummer is a real value here, which I know sounds pretty crazy. It also uses twice the amount of electricity to move than the Rivian. They both have pretty much the same range. The Hummer is actually a little bit better on range than the Rivian is. And at least when we're comparing it to the Rivian on all-terrain wheels and tires, not the 22s here. But, you know, basically, just to sum up my thoughts between the two, I love them both. This is really just in response to all the YouTuber comments. I really love them both. They have a totally different character between the two. The Rivian's a little bit more sophisticated, has a wonderfully crafted interior. I like the sounds the drivetrain makes. To me, you get, great software updates, great software. I really love the Rivian ecosystem and lifestyle that you buy into. This is really a showcase product for Ultium. I've said that a few times, where this is the biggest, baddest thing GM could make. And I also love that. I love that this isn't going to be the mass market car. Everyone's like, oh, it's so inefficient. Why are you even talking about it? Because it's cool. It's just awesome. So I love this for what it stands for. I love it for the technology that is in this thing from a drivetrain and chassis perspective. The suspension components, just come around here so I can show you this. The air tanks on this are bigger than I've ever seen. The rear castings for the lower control arm are bigger than I've ever seen. If you just peer down here, it's immense. Everything is crazy. This is what you can do if you want to. I can slam the Hummer on the ground like the Rivian, or the tailgate can be almost 6 feet in the air. I'm about 6'1", and look at this. It's crazy, the level of adjustability here. So if you had to choose between them both, and you don't have another pickup truck or if you're just looking for a daily driver, no question, Rivian is the way to go. That's the sensible choice. It's the choice I went, and I'm very pleased with it. But if you have room in the driveway for a toy, for something you just want to take out and have fun, Hummer EV all day. This is like, it's a super truck. It's like some people have Lamborghini Aventadors or 911 Turbos or GT3s. This is that same thing on the other end of the spectrum. And honestly, having them both back to back over the last 2 weeks in the driveway roughly, I haven't driven the Rivian once. I've been just having a blast in the Hummer. But of course, like when I go downtown to park this thing, it's so difficult and I don't know, just crazy. But my preference is like to own the Rivian, to have for a couple weeks and have some fun with the Hummer. If I could have both, I would. Maybe we should. I think Alyssa's really fallen in love with the Hummer, right, Alyssa?
I like it, but I wouldn't trade it over any of my cars.
Right, she likes it, but she wouldn't trade any of the cars we currently have. This would just be in addition. And there you go, just a quick response to some viewer comments as to which one I would go for, and that pretty much sums it up. But I'm gonna drive the Hummer home because I really love this thing.